Hey guys, welcome back to the Hear Me Roar pod. I am Tobi and my co-host is none other than the Kate Save, which you might know her from Shark Tank. She's also founder of BeFit Foods and picked up Telstra's Business of the Year award too. Kate?
Well, Tobi, you've got a super impressive CV, 25 years in global commercialisation experience, and you founded Creative Cubes, Australia's leading co-working space and real estate business.
All right, let's get on with the pod. Did you just come back in off your holiday?
I did,
Yeah?
with half the family.
Okay.
So my youngest daughter and I made the plane. The eldest daughter and husband did not make the plane.
Conveniently or?
You could say so because school went back today, but no, she woke up like kids do in the middle of the night, vomiting.
Restless.
And totally fine now, but
Yeah.
we think it was the beach water from the floods up in Queensland, maybe, something like that.
Yeah,
But
wow.
yeah. So
Where did you go?
Broadbeach.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it there.
Yeah.
It's, what's the weather like now?
Oh, it was spectacular the
Yeah.
whole time we were there. Couldn't have had better weather.
Really?
I was glad to hear it was raining today.
Oh, yeah. Well, school went back. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But school went back today, tomorrow, and then it's like back
They're
on
on
holiday.
Friday,
Yeah,
so,
like
yeah.
it doesn't make sense to me. So I spent the first week of school holidays in Los Angeles.
I saw.
Yeah.
Basketball plus.
Oh my God, you have no
Yeah.
idea. Well, you do because you saw.
Oh, yeah.
And then the second week, oh no, it was the first week of the holidays, but the first 4 days I was in LA. The second 4 days I was in Boston.
Yes.
And huge.
Boston Marathon on?
So I don't know if it's
just
on, but we
finished.
ran the last 10 kilometers of the Boston Marathon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I was in Los Angeles in shorts and t-shirt, and then went to Boston. And Michael, who's our CEO at Cubes.Co, he's like, let's go for a run. I was like, yeah, I'll meet you downstairs. Snowing or
Wow.
raining, which cold enough. It was -3, so snow was falling from the sky. And I'm in shorts and t-shirt, running the last 10 Ks of the Boston Marathon with
No
him.
way. Which part is the hilly part?
No idea.
Because there is a
I was
really
just bitching and
steep
moaning the
hill.
whole time.
Well,
We didn't do any hills, so it mustn't be the last
CEO
10.
of Chemist Warehouse, Mario. So
Yeah.
he started running, I'm going to say within the last 6 years. That's my guess. 4 to 6 years, COVID,
Yep.
whenever that was.
Yep.
And he went from never running to now running multiple marathons a year. So he
Yep.
just did the Boston Marathon. I think it may be the second time. I don't want to get it wrong that he did it, but I saw him post something about
Incredible.
how it tries to break you the whole way through, and it's about all of the thoughts in your head and the pain you're going through, but you know that the pain's actually going to come to an end. And it was the most incredible feed and post to sort of read, someone going through this journey who
Sure.
wasn't a runner, who's in their 50s, that is now doing marathons all around the world flat out, inspired a whole team, the whole Chemist Warehouse running team, and talking about the hill and just the mental game. And he said every time he runs a marathon, he learns something new about himself. I thought, how incredible. It actually made
Amazing.
me, I had no inspiration to ever do a marathon. I can do a half marathon, but I thought, no, don't want to break my body doing a marathon.
I've done the San Diego Marathon. That's the only marathon that I've done. It was called the Rock and Roll Marathon. And I did it with my old team at PetSafe.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't train for it,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
yeah, no, I didn't train for it because, well, I don't know why I didn't train for it. But
time poor, not sleeping.
I don't think I was in this sort of like mindset that I'm at right now. I'd sold my company. I was kind
Yes.
of like it was my first year of Maddie being in my world.
Yes.
I think I used to go home from work at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and just eat ice cream with her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I was there,
Yeah.
but I didn't train for it because some of the guys that I ran with were like seriously large people.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure they crossed the line.
Yeah.
So I was like trying to do it for them.
Yeah.
But the last 10 Ks of the Boston Marathon, I got to tell you, I was just so like bothered that I wasn't focused on the run. I was -3. I'm in shorts and t-shirt.
My
Michael's taking the piss out of me. Tobi, you should have worn gloves. I was like, mate, like, didn't think we were doing this, but I'm here to show up. So, but speaking of Michael's,
Yes.
we have Michael Fishwick coming on.
Can't wait. VMG Media.
Venetian Media Group.
They've worked with some huge brands.
I've seen some of the stuff that they've done at the Bondi icebergs. So I grew up in
Yes.
Bondi. I love the icebergs.
Yeah.
They've transformed the icebergs. I think they work with our mates. I was actually, while I was in Boston, I was at the New Balance HQ.
Oh,
I think
so
VMG
good.
has worked with New Balance as well.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan. So after the break, thanks to our great sponsors at Purpose Productions. We'll have Michael Fishwick on the show. Guys, you've seen me put out content for years. It all started with James Shadrach from Purpose Productions. We've filmed over 800 vlogs, several hundred different pieces of content that has helped me take my business to the next level. We use Purpose Productions for all the content, pods, vlogs, and storytelling that we produce. Check out purposeproductions.co to learn how James and his amazing team can help you scale your business and get your message out there. Michael.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
I've got a question. I looked on
Please,
the website.
go ahead.
What have you done with Netflix? I can see there's something on the website with Netflix. What is it?
I think it was Tideland. So we turned, back in the day, we turned Bondi icebergs into a 3D underwater decal.
Wow.
So it was, we've done quite a lot at icebergs. It's sometimes popular but sometimes not so popular with the locals.
No, totally. So I grew up I grew up on North End, but as I kind of went into my early 20s, the icebergs was a very, very much the culture for me. Couple of things happened. I'd be annoyed when they'd have pop-ups and events and sort of activation days, but like thrilled for you, by the way.
Yeah.
But I tell you, there's one opportunity, like one thing that happened there, we had monster waves coming in one day, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Bondi icebergs, okay? When there's high tide, you can't see the swimming pool. The swimming pool is buried, right? And I remember the tide went out and there was a giant shark in the pool. And
actually in the pool?
In the pool. Legit.
Okay. Like how giant?
So it would have been 25 years ago now. Yeah. So in my head, this thing was like massive.
It's a shark. Let's just say it's a shark.
A local, they drained the pool to enough. So a local got in there and like flinged it back over the fence.
We actually had a shark incident. We've done about 20 activations at that particular venue, and sadly, I don't know if you remember, there was a shark incident and a shark attack and a fatal one at that in Sydney. And we actually had a client that was due to go into the pool that had shark branding on the. So we had to. We had to pull it.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the activations.
Yep.
And some of the stuff that your company's involved with, because we have quite a large and dynamic audience that I'm sure would see value in understanding a little bit more about VMG and sort of then a little bit about your story as the leader.
Absolutely. So VMG is effectively it's a family business, but it's a media and communications holding group. So we've got businesses that range from, we're quite non-traditional in the sense we've got agencies and professional services and consultancies all the way through to, we're also, I guess you'd call it a publisher, which we own 2 out-of-home businesses, outdoor advertising businesses in there as well. We've also got a sports agency that looks after predominantly rugby league talent. We'd love to do some footy down here as well, but at the moment it's Craig Bellamy,
Justin Lepper's on next. Lepitch, he's in the house. Collingwood, if you follow them.
No, I'm a D's fan.
Are you Sydney based?
I am, but I was born in Melbourne.
Okay, so I'm born in Sydney, based in Melbourne. Yeah. So you've got a footy team.
Yeah,
the
D's. Yeah.
Okay.
Born and bred here in Melbourne.
Okay.
Which is fun, but we've flipped around a fair bit, Sydney, Melbourne, but right now living in Sydney.
Whereabouts in Sydney are you?
Just offices in Piermont, and then we're living in Potts Point at the moment.
Yeah, nice part of the world.
Which is good. And it's kind of like the New York of Sydney, I guess people think. But yeah, that's good.
And so family run business, and you've come in?
No. So I started originally. My dad's always had companies. He's been sort of 50 years in the out-of-home business, and one of the sort of personalities of that side of the industry. And he had a business that I entered when I was about 18. I was kind of born into it, I guess you could say. I don't like saying that sometimes, Tim, but when I was born, I was on a billboard here in Melbourne, sort of welcome me into the world.
I saw that. Quite, which billboard?
I actually don't know. I think I've been told it was one of the most prominent in Melbourne. But
was that part of your outdoor business?
No, I think my dad was just working for someone at the time, and the sign guys thought it would be a nice gesture. So there's Winfield Reds, and then Michael Fishwick in blue, and underneath, I think it was on Flinders Street. But
there you go.
certainly,
We should dig that up.
Well, I think
we should.
Maybe we can cut to it. There's some of that B-roll, guys.
Yeah, but it was a sort of a nice foray into the industry, and then sort of was able to join Dad in some of his previous businesses, and then we together, I've been around the journey since we started. Originally, it was Revolution 360 was our first business that we entered together, and then that's just kind of formulated and grown through either acquisitions or new business developments.
Fantastic.
And then formed VMG.
And so, apart from your daughter getting out of bed in the morning, or daughters?
Daughters now, yeah.
Yeah, wow. What makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning?
At the moment, not a lot that wants to make me jump out of the bed because it's quite tiring. But I think there's a variety of different things. I think family's obviously with the driving purpose behind everything at the moment. That's obviously changed a little bit in family dynamics too, having 2 daughters and a beautiful wife. But family's always been the driving force, definitely, as well. But also, building businesses and building companies is a lot of fun as well. It's a lot of stress and a lot of pain. I don't know.
it is.
I think you guys can attest this as well.
Yeah, it is.
It takes a certain individual and who would want the job sometimes, but it's certainly, that process that you've got to go through in terms of, building and failing and building and failing and building and failing again is definitely exciting and certainly drives me.
How do you recover from the failing? Because a lot of people think in business you can't make a mistake because it'll all be over. And people that really know business know that failing's just a part of business.
You have to learn to fail, and there is catastrophic failure in business, definitely. I think you need to be clever about it in the sense that, the more times you do fail, hopefully you fail a lot faster. And that's definitely a true saying, fail fast is definitely a thing. I think the worst type of death that a business can go through is that sort of drawn out, slow, prolonged failure that eventually leads to inevitable, catastrophe.
Yes.
I think if you can fail faster and learn quicker, you can build a lot faster as well. And you shouldn't be afraid of failure. It's painful in the moment, but
So I ran with a guy maybe 3 weeks ago, just before I went to the US. And he's been watching me and my business as on behalf of a family that has invested, and we've gotten to know each other and run really well. And we, as in Cubes, have been through hell. Yeah, not to say my hell is any different, but like when the premier stands up at one of his press conferences and says, "If you go to the office, you're going to die," and I sell office space, which is now spanning 12 buildings. It's really hard.
Catastrophe.
It's massive. And it's out of my hands as well, right?
Yes.
So I'm sort of trying to plug the holes as much as crazy. But Adam said to me, which was a real aha moment, we're on the way out. Like we're I don't want to say we're flying. I'm scared to say how great things are because it got stripped from me very quickly. So it's like just staying under the radar.
Bat in the hat.
Yeah. But Adam said failure at sort of like any level is part of, sort of like it's part of the initiation. It's part, like you can't not. You have to fail. You have to go through immense amounts of pain. It's sort of like part of the ritual.
Yeah, it's part of the like at the end of the day, it's a process, right? Building a business is definitely a process. And you mentioned that you guys are avid runners, you half marathon, but you've done marathons. I think there's good analogies in that in terms of business too. Like
for sure,
you have to run your own race. You have to do the preparations. Not every run's going to be the same run.
Yeah.
You might feel great one morning, you get up and you've got 21 Ks you got to smash out, and the first 5 are shit, and then you start feeling all right. So there's, I think there's a lot of the sort of fitness and, that monotony of the process can teach you in business as well. But
totally, if
you think it's going to be, 0 to 100, I think people are quite naive to that process. Well, it's a lot darker and the sort of
So talk a little bit about growth by acquisition, because there's organic growth, which you've done plenty of, and then there's growth by acquisition. You've done that as well. So what are the pain points? So the organic growth first, how does that vary from the growth by acquisition?
Organic can be slow. There's an element, not so much of luck to it as well, but you've got to do all the little things right in order for organic growth to really occur at a scale that's large. And that comes down to building the right teams, I think. Definitely, like if you're going to grow organically and you're going to do it quickly, that comes down to scaling people effectively. Growth by acquisition is a tricky one. It's great to announce an acquisition. It's fun to go through the process. You have to be, again, you need runs on the board. You need time under tension in terms of, doing the acquisition and prospecting businesses as well. It's tough. you know, in terms of growing through acquisition as well. Not every acquisition is going to be a good one. Some are phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's actually a stat. So I think, you know, in the high 90s in terms of startups fail.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll come back to your podcast thing in a minute that you talked about before we started the show. But and then I think like high 90s as well in terms of acquisition aren't as fluffy and fruitful as one thinks.
No, I think 50% fail. Like I think it's general, like it's like of all transactions that happen even on a global level, like, you know, you see some of these like multi-billion-dollar mergers and some of them are a failure as well. That's not to say that they can't be terrific and that most can
so
be
I've
as well.
done both. I've been acquired twice and I just made an acquisition, not just, in July I made June last year, July 1st we kicked off, we made an acquisition and all three were like very smooth. Yeah. Like unusually smooth that I thought that was the norm. Yeah. And then I'm reading stats around. No.
It's not. Like some of ours have been phenomenal for the businesses as well, but I think it's around probably the lessons that I've learned from acquisitions over the last few years is around the intention of who you go out and acquire as well. That sometimes there's sort of two ways you can look at it. You can look at it from a sense that it's available. Do I want to look at it?
Yes, I was going to ask that. If it's failing, are you going to save it because it's a bargain, or are you going out and headhunting something you want to buy?
I think you want to look at, not all businesses that are available are necessarily failing. It's just like at one point in time, the owner or the managing group might be looking at it going, oh, well, you know,
it's time.
It's time. We need a liquidity event. We're available. If someone comes along with the right offer, would you do it? Would you take it? Again, you've got to really look at those deals. Those are the tougher ones, I think, because, you know, yes, it's available, but then the question is like, you know, you're looking at a P&L and a balance sheet and all these things and going, it's great business. Is it fundamentally going to be successful, you know, post that event?
Yep.
That's tricky. I think probably where, you know, I've learned too, and I think where we'll be more intentional in the future and around like, okay, well, what are we building within the group? What's really important to us? Where do we see the market going? You know, what services are going to contribute to the other businesses as well and help that organic growth in other parts of the business, and probably be a little bit more intentional and really headhunt businesses. I think that's quite an exciting an area.
Yeah, I think it's kind of great and kind of weird, right? It's a bit of magic, right? So we've just made this acquisition, right? We acquired Workspace 365, which we announced last week will become corporate Cubes.
Yes.
And trying to figure out, it's almost like human Tetris, in my opinion. Yep. You got to make sure that the piece that's coming down is actually going to slot into the spot correctly. And if it's not, like you've got to kind of forecast, okay, well, what's the next brick that's going to come down to be able to go, all right, if I put this over here, then strategically I'm set up to plug this in and make a nice stack.
I think even on that too, like that's the easy part, sort of looking at it going, okay, well, I know where this kind of fits in the business. I think the hard part is like, you know, particularly, do I have the right people to execute on this plan is a really tricky thing. You're not going to know that until you actually do the event, until you make the little Tetrisy change. Like that's the...
fully. Like there's and you know, it goes back to that statistic, which is, you know, most of them don't yield or don't return on the investment because it's complicated. You might get the bricks laid up nicely, but then you've got a people problem. Yeah. Then you've got a oh my God.
Culture.
Culture is a huge thing, right?
You talk about culture a lot on your website and in your article, and the culture of the people and how do you create a great culture?
I think, again, for us, it's an ongoing process. I don't think there's any one formula. I think even probably some of the biggest lessons that I've learned in the last sort of 4 years around particularly like how do you build great cultures and how do you build high-performing teams. Again, going back to being really probably the number one thing that I've learned too is that I need to be far more intentional around what I'm building and how I want to build those businesses. Culture doesn't just happen. We all know that. Yes. You guys are in the creative, you know, in terms of your business as well, like great environments won't necessarily also create a great culture as well. You've got to look at the human element and the people in there as well. But you've got to look at what sort of culture do I want to build, who are the people, and most importantly, probably what are the behaviors that I really want to build around. Those behaviors, I think, is where you'll get the culture that you really want. Like if your ambition is to be a high performing team within a certain industry or certain sector, you know, what are the behaviors that are going to be needed in that too? And then there's fundamental behaviors that you'll look at too. I think from our standpoint too, because it's a business and we're so invested into it because it is a family thing as well, it comes down to some really basic things sometimes. Like I just want to work with good people that we enjoy.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, that are going to go through the hard stuff with us and not try and take advantage of that.
Totally.
Because that's definitely been the case with some people. But, you know, like I was mentioning before, and, you know, like Tinika's husband, Josh, like when you sort of start finding your people, really great things happen. And that's when you get like really exponential growth.
You both have family in the business. What are the perks? And I guess what are the downfalls of that?
You want to go or?
Yeah, so it's different for me. I think we're going to find out.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Yeah.
It's different for me. So Sim originally was there because of the values and the intention that she's sort of instilled in me as a leader. Yeah. There's no shame here. Like some nights are really tough, and she's the one that's sort of like, get up, keep going. X, Y, Z, da 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 da. I'm like, oh, okay, because she's in it in real time at the scale that we're at. It's really, really important. So from that standpoint, it was really important as well. Like we span 12 buildings now. I can't be everywhere.
No.
So early days, it was like, I need you to be the eyes in the back of my head. I need you to sort of like understand the actual pulse versus the pulse that I'm trying to create, and tell me like what the gap is. So that was very intentional, and it helps Sim's like, you know, she's not a psychologist, but she's a qualified social worker. She's animal assisted therapist. So a lot of the stuff that you see from Tobi, the personality, is a lot of like, we've been together 23 years. So, you know, a lot of what you see in the exterior is real values to me and her, and real values to our home. And so I wanted to build something that was non-egotistical. It was about the people. I want to be the entrepreneur, but I want to be the people's entrepreneur. And my God, it's been dark. Like really dark. And we've held hands through it. And I got to tell you, like, all my strength comes through her. They say great basketball teams win on the defense. Like, she is like the defensive stopper. She doesn't let things slide. She keeps me accountable. And I think that works for me. I would love for her on the next venture, I would love for her to be the leader and me just be in the background. So that's my position. Is that abnormal, or is it?
No, it's definitely, I think, you know, you touched on, you know, the dark days as well, and just having the support there, you know, family, you know, can definitely offer that as well. I think at a really basic level, again, for me, you know, I get to go to work with my dad every day, which is, you know, I think is a really special thing.
My dad passed when I was 16. He got sick when I was 14. I would do it. I said this to my mom. I'd do anything to have my dad back, but I probably wouldn't be who I am. So absolutely,
and especially
what a
now that
things
get busier too. You know, I've got my own family and all those sort of things too. Like, just having those, you know, it can have its negatives as well. I'm sure Dad would think that I'm probably a pain in the ass on occasion as well. But I think
he made you, so it's his problem.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he's the boss. But you know, I think that's definitely a positive as well. It's also the negatives there. There's some, I think, at the end of the day too, because it is family, it is highly personal. Totally. And you've got to, like you mentioned, ego, you've got to strip the ego away from that as well. And it's not always going to be happy and glorious, and people are going to have different opinions, but that's okay.
Are you able to disconnect the personal side in not between you and your dad? Like, I am like highly emotional. Pants are right off right now. I'm highly emotional when I walk into like the finance department. And they say something about something, like not trying to, and I'm like, oh, you like, my heart just fell out of my chest. I'm not capable of like doing it any. I'm very lucky that we got Michael as our CEO. He's like, put your big boy pants on. This is a nothing burger, right? But I'm like dying every second, because it's a piece of art to me. This community, it's precious.
And not only that too, I think, you know, like, I think not only family business, but any business where it's a sole proprietor, or it's, you know, it's private enterprise. And this is where, you know, people don't, you know, your house is on the line. You know, at the end of the day, it's, you know, from a monetary standpoint or a money standpoint, you know, it's your money on the line. And if things don't go well, like, you know, you can quite frankly, lose your house. You know, it can be the detriment of a family. So there's a lot of pressure that can be built up, not only in families, but also, you know, from a private enterprise. I don't think that gets spoken about a lot too.
Well, the stats are pretty hidden when you start and look at something. I saw something the other day about 130 businesses every certain amount of days that are going under at the
Yeah, well,
moment.
I
Like,
think it's shocking. I think you look
30,000
at,
have hit the toilet since COVID.
but you look at business in Australia, you look at like economic climate in Australia. Like the economic climate in Australia is fine. I think when you look at particularly around small business, and it's not easy to do business in Australia. Like they don't make it easy on you. You know, there's probably two elements to that. It's like, you know, cost of capital is really high here, but also just, you know, access to capital is extremely tough. You know, you're not going to go and, you know, if you do want to go get a loan, you got to get a loan, you got to offset against your securitized house, all these things too. And then, you know, running a business as well, you know, from a tax perspective, you know, it's just tax on tax on tax on tax.
Yeah.
And, you know, so there's the environment in which, you know, most small businesses operate, or any, you know, private business in general. It's bloody
In the
hard.
US, you know, you can get an unsecured loan and the business goes under.
It's much more of an
It's
entrepreneurial
not
type
on
of
you. It doesn't.
spirit.
They don't come after you.
wow.
Yeah, because I had my Orange Theory business. It didn't go under. We pushed it and we paid everything out.
Yeah.
But there was 2 shareholders in the US that actually didn't contribute to paying it off,
Yeah,
which then fell to
right.
me because I was a director. So
Oh.
I cleaned it up. And
Yeah.
it's all okay,
Yeah.
and there's no bad blood. But those guys are like, "What do you mean? You have to pay off this and pay off that."
Gosh.
Yeah, man, because
It's liability.
you
It's other
you
people
took that risk on it. Like,
affecting.
in the US, you can just walk away. I'm like, oh, I wish.
Yeah.
So,
It's the people stuff, I think, though, that is really challenging with all the different laws in Australia, that you're responsible when you start employing people that certainly have more rights than anyone else in the business, being the owner.
Yeah, definitely.
And you have great people, you look after them. You have not so great people, you still look after them. But how does that, you know, ever really balance out? Like,
so balances for me. But I'd love to hear. I'll tell you how it balances for me. But Michael's our guest. So
I don't know. I'm actually really curious to hear what you think.
yeah. So when I was in the US, there was this very famous saying, and it's not mine, but people might hear it for the first time through me. The COO goes to the CFO and says, "I need to spend money to train my staff." And the CFO goes, "What if they leave? Like, we're just going to burn this money." And the COO goes, "Well, what if they stay?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then even the
right.
Richard Branson side of what is it? Treat them so well and train them so well that they'll, you know,
Yeah,
that
they
they
don't
could
want
leave,
to
but they don't
leave.
want to leave.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You
Yeah.
either have a leaky bucket in the
Yeah.
organization if you don't give it everything,
Yeah.
or alternatively, you have something that could potentially get away from you
Yeah.
if you, again, don't treat it properly.
But there is this forever increasing costs, right? So you've got superannuation going up, you've got your payroll taxes.
Yeah. Someone explain
You've
payroll
then
tax to me
got
because I'm
all
still
these other
struggling
different.
to understand it.
Oh, absolutely.
In Victoria, it's even worse. Our
Yeah, I
ceiling,
know.
like 750.
We got to do it across, you know, multiple states, and even we got, you know, enterprise in Singapore as well. So it just you just look at it and go,
Singapore's a good place to have a business.
Do you have payroll
though.
tax in Singapore?
nah, it's a little bit different over there.
Yeah.
I can imagine, right?
Yeah.
Like
Depends on locals versus non-locals.
this podcast is all about no religion, no money, and no politics. We have to talk about money because we're in business and all the rest of
Yeah.
it. But politics and religion have to stay out of it.
Yeah.
Having said that, I love what they're doing with Doge in the US. And I would love for something like that to come through the Australian markets and just clean up all this bullshit, because we're getting taxed, like taxes on taxes, to your point earlier, which, to your call out, Kate, is like, we're disincentivized to run businesses
It's
here.
hard.
Yeah.
Like I said before, who would want the job?
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, the brave, and I think the stats, there's 2.6 million Aussie businesses out there. It's 90+% of the economy. Like, you'd think they'd make it more, you know,
And so the
efficient to
person
do
running
it.
the business, your house is on the line so other people can buy their house, which is all nice in theory, but there's no protection for you giving these jobs and allowing people these freedoms. And I look at people as CEOs not in their own business, and they get to walk away with the money and build a life.
Yeah.
Anyone who's holding that directorship, is it going to be here tomorrow? What's going to happen next? Who's going to come
I
after
think that's
me?
the dance with the tiger, so to speak. Like, you're going to have periods where it's really good, and there's periods where you don't get it right, and you get highs right and highs wrong, or this person does this and that person does, like, it's just, that's
So
part
pop
of the
quiz.
dance.
Would you trade?
No.
I would.
Right.
I probably wonder, like, again, like, reflecting on my career too, I probably would have looked at it and gone, I did some pretty shitty jobs early days, and that was really humbling. And you grow through. Then my old man lost a business too, so I got to see what that was like as well, on the flip side as well. And then you go into growing something. I probably would have looked at it and gone, maybe I should have spent a little bit of time outside just to sort of see what it was like. But I probably, being somewhat self-aware, probably looking at it going,
I got fired from my first job because I wasn't passionate about selling videos at a video store.
Yeah, I got fired the job you can't get fired from, I got fired from, which was I was a rowing coach at my old school, and they sacked me from that because I think I said I had an assessment or something that was due at uni, but I think I was actually just at the pub.
I reckon you were trying to work out how to monetize or advertise on the jerseys of the rowers to.
Probably at that time, probably not. I was probably just thinking about how I could go to the beach or something at that, coming out of school. But it's certainly, it's an interesting period in terms of, all around the political landscape and tax reforms and all those things that need to probably happen.
Yeah, I actually said to my family over the summer, would they support me if I ran for like state premier or prime minister?
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't want that attention.
I don't know who would want that job.
I know.
I think that would be the worst job.
The passion.
I know, but I just want to protect the people.
Yeah.
I just want to look, like, I just feel like there's so much like nonsense and shenanigans going on that I'd just love to come in. I'd probably end up becoming one of them because it'd just be easier to conform.
Part of a system.
Yeah. But I actually did ask, and my youngest Harper, I was like, no ways, Dad. My oldest daughter, Maddie, she's like, well, she was born in the US. She's like, I want to be an American president one day. So maybe we play
Test
around here.
it on Dad.
Yeah.
And
turn this thing into a multi-billion-dollar business, and you
and
might have a
Sim
chance.
was like, not a chance in hell.
Yeah.
So that sort of like died within 30 seconds on a car ride.
That's probably a good thing.
Can you give us your highlight of the best brand or funnest activation or best people, famous people, something, clickbaity?
Clickbaity. I don't know if I've got anything clickbaity. I think there's a lot of crap out there at the moment too.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of, there's a lot of gurus that, there's a lot of, I was reading something quite funny the other day around the education system, and there's, in terms of there's work ready and whatnot as well, but there's also an abundance of access to information at the moment too. It's just, what are you actually going to consume?
Yep.
People that I've always kind of gravitated towards or watched, I think have always kind of predominantly been in the sports environment, just because I think it's relatable.
Totally.
Yes, I liked it, but I think there's great lessons that you can take from sports in terms of building up teams, but also looking at teams as well, and teams that are failing and then teams that are thriving, and how have they fixed that process as well. There's definitely some things. So
You did coaching, didn't you, in your early days? Two different types of sport. I'm sure I saw something.
Yeah, no,
in
I
there.
did. I was, like I said, I was probably I was a bad rowing coach, and then I was an okay rowing coach.
Yeah.
And, I think it's fundamentally had an effect on, I think coaching at all levels is incredibly important too, particularly when it relates to organizations and, and how do you build culture around, an environment of constantly learning and constantly building. And I think, you want those inquisitive minds in your business because ultimately that's going to benefit us as a business owner as well, in the sense that, if they're willing to learn and they're willing to grow their skill sets, well, then this is really good value that they'll effectively get out of as well. But
who's your team and what's your sport?
I've got a few, like I said before, AFL, it'll be the D's, which it's,
Are they number one? Like, as in, are they like, when you default to my sports team, is it the D's?
I think so, because it's sort of it's the oldest memory for me too. And, then I've got the Manchester United in the English Premier League, which again, I think is, I'm looking at it as a United fan, I'm looking at it going, God, we suck and it's terrible and it's all this, but I'm also looking at it from the business side going, wow, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
You've got new owners, new CEO, new coach, or manager, not calling himself a manager, calling himself a coach. You've got a group of players that are probably not aligned on where that business and where that team wants to go. So that's going to be really interesting to kind of look at where the changes look at too. I've always been a big American football fan too, both college and the NFL. But, I look at people like Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, and, like I mentioned before too, I've been lucky enough to have some access to Craig Bellamy over the last couple of years with one of our business too. And Craig's got this, for those who don't, he's the head coach of the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah.
The practical nature and the common sense that he brings to leadership is phenomenal. And he's got this just amazing presence about him in terms of like people gravitate towards him.
Totally.
But he's not about him. He's not a rah-rah, like he definitely can rah-rah,
Well,
but he's not a me person. He's definitely...
They've won a lot of championships, right?
I think he's, from a performance standpoint, he would probably be one of the most successful managers of any code in history in any sport. So I think I'm not sure of the official statistic, but I think 22 years they've made, the equivalent of the finals, the playoffs, so 19 or 20 years in a row or something like that too. And I think if you look at how many grand finals, it's mind blowing. It's on the sort of Bill Belichick, Nick Saban type.
We heard about Bill through Josh King, who he talked about him, who's the head coach of the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. Talk about turning a team around and injecting culture. Yeah, that was 0-5, and he got tasked with keeping the team together, and they went all the way to the semis. Yeah, top 4 team. So I love sport. I love the sport analogy. I love applying sports theory to business. Yeah.
Well, the Bill Belichick side too, even when we talk about the building of business as well, one of the really interesting things and again, I've just been looking at this personally over the last few weeks, because we talk about how do we scale businesses and how do we build them. It's kind of like, you sort of levels, you learn something, you might not master it, but you kind of get to the next space and you can grow. But one of the things that I was looking into from Bill Belichick's standpoint is that when he went to Cleveland in 95 or 96, I think it was, he delivered Art Modell a playbook. Right, there was 400 pages, very dry. But it was basically this is how you build a winning championship team, and that ultimately did happen. It became, the Baltimore. So it was really interesting that there's definitely a plan that you can develop over time, but that comes with experience. I think I'm at a point now in my life and my career where I'm starting to develop good frameworks and good playbooks that I can start to implement in future ventures, but also in current stuff as well. Yeah. But I think, one of the things that you need to be really mindful too of is you don't have to overanalyze the plan as well. Sometimes the basics are what actually... Too many
people get caught in the theory and not in the action.
And I think we're all guilty of it at one stage or another. Yep. But I think, there has to be a plan, but the plan doesn't have to get in the way of doing the work. Totally. Yeah. I think that's the key thing too.
I read something, actually, it was something Justin Lepich said, knowing that he's coming on today, was that his secret to being a really good coach and taking the teams to premierships and playing in them was that there would be a plan, but it was about giving the team the courage to execute the plan, because he said most teams will play it safe and go down the middle. But he found if he could build the courage in his team, then they could actually execute the plan, because the plan would work because there's always a backup for the plan. But if the players didn't have the courage, then they'd take the safe route.
That's it. Yeah. And I think that's probably one of my biggest lessons too when I'm, reflecting back. It's I don't have to have all of the answers, but I do have to have the plan and the playbook. Probably the most important function that I can possibly play, so to speak, is how do I retain and how do I recruit really good people? And how do I make sure that they're a fit for the vision that I may have for a business? Because that's a key thing too. Sometimes you get really great people that just not a fit for what you want to build. Totally. They don't fit those behaviors. They might be better off in another business, in a bigger business, a smaller business, whatever it might be. But if I can kind of get that right and I can find a good foundation, all those things in terms of taking a playbook and expanding on it and building a culture, a lot of that work doesn't have to fall on my shoulders. Whereas I think, looking back, I think early days you kind of feel like you have to do everything. Yeah. And that's crippling. You'll just get paralysis.
Well, yeah. So it's important to do everything in the early days so that you understand when that person comes in to fill that role, you can speak from an authentic position of, hey, this is what I did. We are going to wrap it there just for this segment. We're going to be taken away in a minute by Luna. Michael, how do people get in touch with you, your business?
LinkedIn's probably the best route, or through the website, definitely.
So I'm going to link all of that in the show descriptions below. Michael, thanks for taking the time to come on. Mate. Kate, we will hear from Luna and be back after this break. weareluna.co is a great place for you and your business to start off with phenomenal accounting and legal services. So if you're a startup or a scale-up looking for legal and finance support, or alternatively looking to raise capital, weareluna.co is where you need to be starting off. Kate? Michael
really
Fishwick.
Interesting. Growth by acquisition. I think I haven't done it, so I'm curious about it. I know you've done it, but having 6 businesses now under that one umbrella is pretty incredible. Some organic, some via acquisition, I think.
I think sort of like there's a sort of like two paces here, right? There's the acceleration, and then there's the steadiness and the steady hand. And I think you need to play a bit of both for the sake of growth, but don't underplay the organic.
Yeah.
The organic is slow and steady, but it also allows you to fail with less catastrophe, if I can say that, right?
Absolutely.
And I look at it like SEO and SEM, like the social, the SEO side, the search engine optimization side, is sort of like constantly grooming your website, make sure you're ticking for the right organic words, and make sure your content's coming out. There's the slow burn with content creation that's getting some organic, which is pushing you up, and then there's pay to play. And I think you need to be like, if I look at our acquisition of customer, I can comfortably say to you that we acquire our customer 50-50 in both of those channels. If there's a pool of 100, 50 will come from organic, 50 will come from PPC, pay-per-click. So I think it's very important to have both. And I think a lot of people will see this and hear and go, I got to acquire, we got to run fast, but I just don't want people to undervalue or misinterpret or undervalue the importance of slow and steady, and that you're only running your own race. You might have to, at some stage, go a little bit faster because you're not keeping up with your burn if you're not in the cash flow positive position. So you definitely have to sort of run as fast and as hard as you can. But if you're, in a stable business, maybe dabble with a bit of, acceleration, but don't abort what you've got to accelerate.
And at least they're your mistakes in your business that are easy to undo when you're acquiring another business and bringing in new problems that maybe aren't your own, that you're not aware of. They're harder to fix and undo. Problems via acquisition also exist.
So like it's due diligence is mission critical. But I think what Michael's built with is like the fact that he gets to go to work with his dad. Some people like probably could think of nothing worse. I could think of nothing greater to be from my seat, only because of the sacrifice I've had to go through. But be able to do that with his dad and sort of be able to come home to his family, and I think there's a nice balance there.
And it's that wisdom from a parent too, who's seen and done a lot of things. I know my dad's my best advisor, and he gives his best advice after he does this. He takes a little breath and then he shoots air out his nose. And then words of wisdom come out. And he's done it ever since I was a kid. I'd be sitting in the back seat and you wait for the hold of breath, and then little air shoots out his nose and some wisdom comes out. Amazing.
Guys, that's been an amazing episode. I'm going to link all of the show descriptions, how you can get in contact with Michael, how you can get in contact with VMG. Thanks for listening. And Kate, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Toby.
Thank you.